corpse pose. Letting arms extend out long on the mat. Turn the palms to face the ceiling. Letting yourself get heavy to the floor. Starting to pay attention to how you feel right now. Notice how it feels in your physical body. Muscles, bones, ligaments, and tendons. Noticing how it feels in your emotional body. How are your emotions this evening? Where are you feeling them? Maybe your belly, your chest, muscles, or your head. Finally, your mental body. How are your thoughts this evening? Do they feel like they're going quickly, rushing around from one to another, spiraling or obsessing on a single thought? Maybe it feels like they're flowing easily from one to another or coming to a place of stillness. Observing how it feels to be inside of your body, laying on the floor. Thinking of our time on our mat as breathing practice. We'll start to fill up the belly, expanding the ribs and then the chest, exhaling in reverse, chest, ribs, and belly. Squeezing everything out on the exhale, creating space for full, complete inhales. Notice if these breaths start to make you feel sleepy or tired. Pushing through that, creating both the strength and the diaphragm to breathe against impingements and restrictions in the poses, as well as the muscle memory to take these full, complete breath cycles off the mat and back into our daily lives. Just the act of taking complete breath cycles can be what exhausts you during the next 75 minutes. Our day is usually spent taking passive or shallow breaths. Do one more complete breath cycle like this. All the way up to the top, all the way down to the bottom. Next, inhale, bring the knees in, exhaling, taking a hold of the knees, hanging them in, Apanasana, knees to chest. Resist the urge to cross at the ankles, keeping the ankles uncrossed. Maybe you're circling the knees in one direction or another. Maybe you're letting the knees travel away from you on the inhales, bringing them closer on the exhales, or rocking them side to side. Make this feel good. Waking up your hip flexors, then a low back. When you're ready to come back into stillness, crossing the ankles to lock the legs, use a little momentum and hold this up to seated. Coming into our boat poses, we'll plant the feet first. The arms will come up high overhead, exhaling, rolling down one vertebrae at a time. When you get all the way down to the bottom, inhale, exhale, peel this back up, lifting this back up, reaching up. Now you can stay right here, or you can start to extend the legs one at a time, coming up over the shins. If that's getting easy for you, you can leave both legs extended and just lift and lower the upper body in and out of the water in that boat pose. Using the exhales to peel you up. You can be working between modification and progression. Take a couple progressions, get tuckered out, move back to the modification. It is the process of getting stronger. We'll do 2 more, whatever level you're working at. And after the second one, plant the feet, take a hold of the knees, and release your low back. Finding our second version, the upper body will tilt backward, releasing the legs. Maybe you're tapping the toes, alternating, extending the legs. Maybe you're touching both toes and extending, balancing on the sits bones. Maybe you're leaving the legs extended and lifting and lowering the heavy lower body in and out of the water. Again, feel free to work between modification and progression, finding the version that feels like work for you. We'll do 2 more wherever you are. And on the second one, planting your feet, taking a hold of the knees and releasing your low back. Extending your legs. Letting yourself come back all the way onto your back. The arms come up high overhead, inhaling. Exhale, maybe as you peel up, you bend the knees and drag the feet. Maybe as you come up, on an exhale, you bend the knees and lift the feet, balancing on the sits bones again. Maybe as you come up, arms and legs stay extended and you're lifting 2 long levers in and out of the water. If you're working with the long levers, when that starts to get easy, maybe you start to try to set them down at the same time. Everybody will be working at a different level, but everybody will be working. So finding the level that feels like effort for you, that's where you should be. Wherever you are, we'll do 2 more. And of course, on the second one, planting the feet, taking hold of the knees, and releasing. Crossing our legs. We'll take the natural cross to the legs, Sukhasana, easy pose. Finding hands to heart center, feel free to use something heavy in your hands to make this work for you. Roll down 1 vertebrae at a time. Inhale at the bottom, exhale, peeling this up. Feel free to grab something heavy and use it to throw in order to pick yourself up off of the ground from here. A water bottle works, a weight can work, a block can work if it's a heavy block. We'll do 3 on this leg. When you've taken 3 cross-legged sit-ups, cross the legs in the other direction. Hands to heart center. Exhale, rolling yourself back down. Inhale, exhale, peeling this up. We'll take 3 with the awkward cross to the legs. Moving through your version of Sukhasana sit-ups. Using the exhales to peel yourself up. When you've taken your 3rd with the awkward cross to the legs, plant the hands over the knees. Use any momentum you need in order to roll over the legs, coming into tabletop. We'll walk ourselves back into that tabletop shape in the middle of the mat, hands underneath the shoulders, knees below the hips. Inhaling cow, gaze comes to the front of the room. Exhaling cat, gaze between the legs. As you inhale your cow, feel the stretch into the throat, maybe even into the belly as you look up. And as we bring the gaze between the legs and cat, really sending that spine to the ceiling. Working through with your breath and your pace. Maybe you get a little bit deeper each time, stretching out those abdominals we just worked. Maybe you're starting to move this around in the hands and the knees, both in the cow and the cat. Making that arch move around the back, waking up the spine, the shoulders, and the hips. Make this feel good to you. We'll do 1 more cat and cow with your breath, your pace. And then we'll come back into tabletop. Walking the hands up on the mat slightly. Tuck the toes beneath you. We'll find our first downward facing dog. Collarbones are broad, face is soft. Inhaling here to the toes. Exhale, right heel sinks down to the mat. Inhale into the toes, exhale, left heel sinking down. We'll do that again. Inhale high, exhale right heel. Inhaling toes, exhale left heel. 1 more time through your breath, your pace, sinking 1 heel on your exhale and then the other. When you're done, we'll come up high into both toes. Exhale, both heels will sink. Send the head deep between the biceps, trying to reach the crown for the middle of the mat, hyperextending through the shoulders. Broaden the collarbones, soften your face. Let the corners of the mouth get pulled to a slight smile by gravity. Inhale into the balls of the feet. Exhale, bending the knees, keeping the knees hovering over the mat. And then exhale again, straighten the legs. Sink the heels towards the mat. See if the heels will go a little bit closer. Gaze to the top of the mat. See how long you can keep your straight legs as you walk there. Finding forward fold. Feet will be inner hip width distance apart. Toes point in the same direction. Inhale, arms straight up high overhead. Urdhva Hastasana, upward facing arms. Exhale down into chair pose, Utkatasana. Upper body is reaching upright. Weight is in the heels. Bottom is sinking. Inhale, weight into the right leg. Carefully stepping the left leg to the back of the mat. Find your high lunge. Wiggle out. Get the arms nice and straight here. Exhaling, sink into extended high lunge. Chest is resting on the thigh. Arms are reaching for the front of the room. Lots of work in that right leg. Inhale, power this up into warrior 3. Beautiful job. If you turn the left toe in, we'll level the hips out. keeping the body parallel to the ground. Inhaling up into a figure 4 chair. The left foot's going to cross over the right. Hands to heart center. Maybe the elbows can find the ankle and the knee as you sink the bottom. Chest is lifting up. Opening up to balancing half moon. Release the right hand to a block or the floor. The left hand comes up to the sky. Come back into figure 4 chair. Ooh. When you found your figure 4 chair, see if you can touch the elbows. Releasing this back into high lunge as quietly as you can. Hands down to heart center, inhaling, exhale, twisting. Left elbow finds the thigh. Maybe the right elbow can find the hip as well as the gaze comes over that right shoulder. Twisting at the waist. Think about pushing the torso to the back of the room rather than trying to come over the leg. Gaze to the top of the mat. Maybe you can find a brief twisted warrior 3 before the left foot meets the right in a twisted chair. Inhale, hips forward, heart opens. Exhale down into chair pose. Utkatasana, upper body is reaching upright. Weight comes into the left leg. Exhale, quietly step the right foot back. Find your steadiness in high lunge. Get the arms nice and straight. If you need to, bring them out to YMCA arms and then pull them here. We don't want to end up with ballet arms. We'll never get them straight. Think straight first, pull back second. Inhale, exhale, bringing this into extended high lunge. Chest is resting on the thigh. Smooth out your breath. Inhale, power this up. Warrior 3. Find your balance. Turn the right toe in slightly. Level this out. Inhale up, figure 4 chair. Place that right ankle over the left knee. Maybe the elbows find the ankle and the knee as you drop the bottom. Releasing the left hand to the ground as the right side lifts up for balancing half moon. Gaze can follow that right thumb. Feel free to use a block to raise the floor underneath the left hand. Inhale, bring this back up, both sides, and find that figure 4 chair. Carefully dropping the bottom again. Releasing to high lunge. Carefully step this back. Hands come down to heart center. Exhale, twisting left. Finding the gaze over the left shoulder as you set up your twisted high lunge. Inhale to gaze to the top of the mat. Feel free to challenge yourself with a warrior 3 briefly before you bring that right foot in to meet the left. Twisted chair. Inhale, hips forward, heart opens. Exhale, folding down. Halfway lifting, offer your heart to the front of the room. And then exhale that length down, forward fold. Take opposite elbows here, head is heavy. Gaze is through the arms, not to the floor. Or through the legs, not to the floor. Inhale into the balls of the feet, coming up into the toes. Exhale back into the heels, lift the toes up. Inhale, rolling it forward. Exhale, rolling back. One more time through, your breath, your pace. Through the balls of the feet. And then through the heels. When you're ready to ground through all 4 corners evenly, maybe you sway to side and ragdoll, if that feels good to you. When you're ready to release the hands, finding that forward fold. Noticing the spacing of forward fold. How does that forward fold feel? Inhale, arms straight up high overhead, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale down into gorilla pose. We're going to bend the knees and place the hands underneath the feet, the palms of faith. Palms meet the soles of the feet. Turn any sharp rings that you may have. Maybe you stay here. Maybe you're starting to straighten the legs, keeping the thighs and the chest connected. Maybe you start to stand on the hands, lifting the heels up. It'll feel dicey, like you might fall forward here, testing yourself. Releasing the heels down. If they're lifted, walk the hands out from underneath you. Notice if your forward fold feels different than it did before. Halfway lifting, support the low back as you offer your heart to the front of the room, and then exhale down into forward fold, planting the hands, stepping back. Maybe you find a brief plank pose before you find downward facing dog. Catch your breath. Inhale forward into plank. Yogi's choice as you lower, elbows touch the rib cage all the way down, whether you're on the knees or the toes. Up dog or cobra, linger here as long as you'd like. Pull the shoulder blades back, only when you're ready. Finding your downward facing dog. Linger in the up dogs or cobras as long as you need. We're here for the back bends. Catch your breath. Inhale, left leg high. Inhale, right leg high. Knees and toes turn in slightly. So leveling the hips out by turning that right toe in. Sink the left heel to the mat. Head is deep between the biceps. Inhaling, point the right toe, lift it up a little higher. Exhale, right knee to right elbow. Inhale, down to the right wrist. Exhale, over to the left wrist. Inhale, up to the elbow. Exhale, three-legged down dog. Beautiful job. Inhale, gaze to the top of the mat. Exhale, stepping the foot there. Finding runner's lunge. Grab blocks for underneath the hands if you need them. Back knee is lifted and strong. Chin is away from the chest. Collarbones are broad. Smoothing out the breath cycle. Notice if the mind is trying to tell stories or put labels on things like this is suffering or I don't like this. Bring it back to observe the present moment without judgment. Maybe you're keeping a little tiny movement in the body, keeping the pose active and fresh for yourself. Someone looking at you might not notice you moving at all. You're just keeping this pose new. Drop the back knee, flatten the foot. Feel free to pad the back knee with a blanket. We're going to keep the hips shifting forward and the arms will come up into Anjaneyasana, low lunge. The hands are coming up, the gaze is up. With the hips shifting forward, you're going to have to work to keep that left leg getting dragged behind you. Lots of sensation there. The right knee has to work to stay upright. Observe the emotional state that's created here. Anger, frustration, and hatred for me are normal feelings. Releasing the hands down. We're going to tuck the back toe, release the knee, and find warrior one feet. So spiraling the back toe down. Square the hips up to the front of the room and then put your roof on. Knee bend in the right leg. Toes are light on that right foot. Pushing back through the pinky toe side of the left foot. Inhale, take the clasp behind the back. Draw the wrists together. Pinch the shoulder blades back behind you. Open the chest. Gaze comes up. As we're breathing here, that restricts the upper chest and ribs. How does that affect your breath? How does that affect your emotional state to be restricted in this manner? Inhale, straighten the right leg. Exhale, sinking down over the right leg. We're going to keep that clasp, get limited by your clasp, find out where your shoulders stop you, and then release the fingers. The hands might find the floor here, maybe they find blocks. If you're in fingertips, raising the floor with blocks, being able to bend the elbows, might make you feel like you're a little bit more in control of the pose. Breathing here, chin is extended away from the chest, head's an extension of the spine. So my face is the last thing to reach my leg. Bringing the left hand on the inside of the right foot. We'll take the right hand up to the sky. Think about keeping the leg straight. If you need to, raise the floor with a block. Collarbones are broad, gaze follows that right thumb. Exhale, release the right hand down, finding that pyramid pose again. Taking the hands, or maybe hands with blocks in front of the right foot, extending your pyramid. Notice if you have a little bit more to give than you did when we first came into pyramid. Observing the change that has been made here. Inhaling, bending back into the right knee. Release the hands to the top of the mat. We'll step back. Feel free to send the right leg high in the three-legged down dog. If that helps you, release the hip and the buttock in the way that feels good to you. When you're ready, we'll find downward facing dog. Pedal out. Catch your breath. Inhaling forward into plank pose. Exhale, bring the left hand underneath the face, rolling onto the left leg. Step the right foot over the left. Right arm comes up high to the sky. We're going to modify the side plank away. Exhale, lower the entire left side down to the mat. Bring the right arm on the inside of that left hip. Exhale, raise this up. Reach the ribcage up to the sky. Inhaling, exhale, release this down. Inhale, exhale, push this back up. And plant the hands. Step back into plank pose. Yogi's choice as you lower. You can be on the knees or the toes, but the rib cage will be touched by the elbows all the way down. Lingering for as long as you need in the back bend you want. Pull the shoulders back. Only when you're ready. Finding your downward facing dog. Catch your breath again. Inhale, left leg high, knees and toes are squared. Turn the big toe in to level out the hips. Sink the right heel down to the mat. Pointing the left toe, inhale, bring this forward, left knee to left elbow, exhale down to the wrist. Inhale to the right wrist, exhale up to the right elbow, and then send this high. Three-legged down dog. Exhale, step this up to the top of the mat. Use your hands to get your foot between the hands if you need to, grabbing blocks if you feel like you need to raise the floor. Groin is sinking down towards the ground, but the back knee is strong, so don't let that back knee get soft on you. The chin is away from the chest. If you can see the back of the mat, you've dropped your head. Pick up your head. We're still working upper body posture, even as we work with the lower body. Slowing down the breath, linking the inhale and exhale, keeps the mind here in the present moment, preventing it from wandering off, preventing it from abandoning you in the pose. Maybe you pick up your left toes and set them down in your version of one at a time, testing yourself here. Just a little further. Dropping the back knee, flatten the foot. Taking the arms up high overhead in that Anjaneyasana, low lunge. Hips are shifting forward. Breathing here. Keep the head up off the back of the neck. Lengthening the back of the neck. Try to keep the left knee hugging to center line. Breathing through the emotional reaction here. Gives us that skill to take off the mat. These same emotions come up for us in our daily lives and we feel less safe. Releasing the hands down to the mat. Tuck the back toe, release the knee, and we'll find a warrior one feet. When you feel steady in the legs, when you feel like your foundation is set, put your roof on, drawing the arms up high, pushing that right hip forward, push back through the pinky toe side of that right foot. Left toes are light. Pick them up and set them back down. Catch your breath. Inhale, goofy clasp behind the back, wrong thumb on top. Draw the wrists together, pinch the shoulder blades back. As the gaze comes up, endure what that does to your emotional state. Breathe through that. Practicing breathing through emotional poses here on the mat. Inhale, straighten the left leg. Exhale, sinking. get limited by your shoulders. Find out where the shoulders stop you in the pose. When you feel ready, release the fingers. Feel free to grab the blocks if you need them. Being able to put the hands flat or have a micro bend in the elbows might make you feel a little bit more in control of the fold. Chin is away from the chest. Parsvottanasana, pyramid pose. Bringing the right hand on the inside of the left foot, feel free to raise the floor with the block. Gaze follows that left thumb. Pull the shoulders down away from the ears. They're going to want to come up to the ears. You got to think about broadening the collarbones out. Don't let the left knee bend. Raise the floor with a block if you need to. Releasing the hands down. Finding that pyramid pose again. Maybe the hands can go with the blocks or without in front of that left foot. Extending your pyramid. Noticing if your extended pyramid has more to give than you would have had when we first came to the pose. Observing how your practice has been changed. Exhale, bend into the left knee. Planting the hands at the top of the mat, send the left leg high. Feel free to open up the hip if that helps you release the buttock before you find your downward facing dog. Catch your breath, pedal this out. Turn the tailbone up to the sky. Inhaling forward into plank. Bring the right hand underneath the face, rolling onto the outer blade of the right foot. The left leg will step over to the long edge of the mat. Lifting that left arm up to the sky. Inhale, exhale, the whole right side down to the ground. Letting the left arm touch the inside of that right leg. Inhale, exhale, push this up. Arching the rib cage up towards the sky. Inhaling, exhale, lower down again. Let the whole right side find the ground, touch the inside of the right leg. Inhale, exhale, push this up, arch the rib cage up. And then plant the hands, stepping back into plank pose. Feel free to drop your knees here before you lower down through your version of chaturanga. Lingering in your cobra or up dog for as long as you need before you push back to child's pose. If you need a drink, this is a good place to get it. Child's pose is our place of surrender, our place of rest. Anytime you need a break in your practice, coming to child's pose until you can catch your breath. Walk the hands off the mat over to the right. Dropping your head back down, draw the body back to center line using dynamic tension, stretching the left side of the body. The stretch feels similar to Uttita Trikonasana, triangle pose. Releasing the stretch, we'll walk this over to the left. Dropping the head back down. Again, using dynamic tension, we pin the skeleton in place and then we use muscles to stretch the muscles. You are in charge of your dynamic tension in poses. Releasing this, come back into center line. We'll reset in child's pose one more time. Catch your breath. Inhaling, we'll come up to tabletop. Hands underneath the shoulders, knees below the hips. Bring the right hand behind the head. Exhale, touch the elbow to the mat. Inhale, lift the elbow up towards the sky. Exhale, touch it to the mat. Inhale, lifting, opening. And then one more time. Exhale, touch. Inhale, frustrate yourself. And then release the right hand. Left hand behind the head. Inhale, exhale, touch the mat. Inhale, lift this up. Pull against your own fascia. Exhale, touch the mat. Inhale, lift it up. One more time. Exhaling, touching. Inhaling, lifting. And then we'll release the hands down. Walking the hands up on the mat slightly. We'll tuck the toes and find downward facing dog again. Catch your breath. Inhale, right leg high. Point the toe, open the hip, lift the leg up towards the sky. Sink the left heel to the ground. Even the weight between the two hands. Now, bend the knee. Pressing the left foot and hands into the mat. Try to affect lifting the knee higher. You are in charge of this dynamic tension here. Tilting this over into Wild Thing, the right foot finds the ground behind you, the right hand leaves the ground. You can stay in Wild Thing or sink the right heel and extend the left leg, coming into a one-armed, one-legged reverse table. Planting the left foot, send the right leg high, three-legged down dog, and then we'll step the right foot to the outside of the left hand, coming onto the inside of the left foot for a fallen triangle prep. Feel the bite in the rib cage of holding the prep. Inhale the left arm up. Exhale, swing it overhead, arching the rib cage towards the sky. Planting the hands, send the right leg high, three-legged down dog. Exhale, step it to the top of the mat on the outside of the right hand for an active lizard. Now, you can be on your hands, you can come down to your blocks, you can come down onto forearms. You can come onto the outer blade of the right foot, but the back knee is lifted and strong. The chin is away from the chest, the shoulders are down away from the ears. You'll notice there's effort in inflating the low belly. It wants to clench up. You have to think about breathing into it. I like to keep this pose moving around to keep it active, get it a little deeper into the hips. Drop the back knee, flatten the foot. You can stay on the left forearm, you can come up to the hand or a block. The right hand might find the thigh or the sky. Lift out of the left shoulder joint, opening the chest. So there's a lot of pressure in that left shoulder as we press the floor away. Lifting up here, release the hands down to the mat. We'll use the hands to help us find warrior two legs. Get the feet right. When it feels like you have your foundation set properly, then put your roof on. Arms are out long. There is no lean forward in warrior one, or warrior two, excuse me. Arms are out directly off of the shoulders. Muscles are squeezed tight to the bone. Taking a clasp behind the back. Open the chest. Squeeze the shoulder blades back and then exhale on or on the inside of the thigh. Crown of the head is reaching for the floor. Hands are coming overhead for humble warrior. Keep that right knee bent. Don't let it straighten up. Keep the groin coming towards the front of the room. It's going to try to push back to escape the pose, but we're here to surrender to this sensation. Releasing your clasp. The right hand might find a block. It might find the floor on the inside of the right foot. The left hand comes up towards the sky. Open the chest up. Broaden the collarbones out. Gaze is over that left thumb. Shoulders are away from the ears. Inhale. Exhale. Swing the left arm overhead. Keep the shoulder lifting up. Don't let the shoulder come down toward the ground. You have to really work in the upper back to try to keep this from folding forward. Big cartwheel back. Inhale, exhale into reverse warrior. Finding that left hand traveling down the back leg. Maybe the right hand finds the back of the neck. Maybe the left hand wraps around for the right hip, binding your warrior. So maybe you're exploring reverse warrior with a bind here. Whether you're with the bind or without, straighten the right leg. Sky archer. Releasing the bind if you have it. Let that right arm reach up. Explore what that did to your side stretch. Inhale, power this up. Exhale, reach it out. Utthita Trikonasana. Pulling that left hip and shoulder back behind you. Let that limit how far the right hand can slide down the leg in triangle pose. If the left shoulder starts to fall down, that's where you stop. Come up a little higher. We're trying to stay squeezed between two panes of glass here. We should feel this in the left hip and shoulder, that long left side getting pulled on tight. Cartwheeling the hands down to the long edge of the mat. Toes pivoting to follow. Finding that wide leg forward fold. Inhaling, long flat spine. Exhale, sinking down. Weight is even between the balls of the feet and the heels, so don't stick your bottom out behind you. It feels great, but it means you've lost the pose. Notice where you find this pose right now. Let's see if we can change it up. Placing the right hand underneath the face, straighten the arm, inhale, exhale the left hand to the sky. Press into that right hand to open the chest up. Think about trying to broaden your collarbones out. Notice what this does to breathe your inner core. Inhaling, left hand replaces the right. Exhale, right hand to the sky. Again, press into that left hand. Use the pressure of the hand to the floor to open the chest and affect your twist. Breathe. Exhaling, releasing this back down into wide leg forward fold. Notice if your wide leg forward fold feels a little deeper. Maybe you have a little bit more range of motion here. We will be in this pose twice, so if you need to take this somewhere else, if you have a headstand that you're hungry for, if you have an arm balance like Firefly that you just got to get into, feel free to take it. You can work it here. You can work it when we come to the same pose on the other side. You can do something different on one side than you did on the other side. You don't have to do the same thing. So make this feel good to you. This is your practice. When you're ready, we'll press the hands underneath the face and walk ourselves to the left foot. Turning the left toes out, the right toes come up to the sky. We're going to find Skandasana, half staff, half squat. Your hands might find heart center here. You might have to keep your hands on the ground as kickstands in order to keep the left heel down. That's where I started in the pose, so no shame in the game. Wherever you are is where you are today. Wherever you are in the pose, maybe you're using hands, maybe you're able to do it without the hands. We're going to shift this up to the top of the mat. So staying low in the hips, find Skandasana on the right side. And again, maybe you have to lower the hands down with kickstands. Maybe you can bring them into heart center. Maybe you're working with that, finding the place that feels like a challenge for you. And then we'll use the hands to help us down out of the pose. Helping yourself escape your half squat. We're going to set up our pigeon pose. So, grabbing whatever props you need in order to create your pigeon pose. The right shin is going to be parallel to the top of the mat. We want to support the right buttock and hip so that when we sit up, we don't feel like we're falling off to the side with the left leg back behind us. You might not need anything under the hip in order to make this shape. You might need 2 blocks or even more. So use however much propping you need in order to feel safe up here. When you have that shape, we're going to fold down. So folding down might be coming on hands. It might be coming down to forearms. You might be coming down onto a prop. The chin is away from the chest. So if you dropped your head, if you can see the back of the mat, you have dropped your head, pick it back up. Push the left hip down to the mat, and that's going to affect the sensation you're getting in the ball and socket here on the right. So we want to feel this in the right hip joint. Now, we don't want to feel it in the knee. So if you feel the knee, flex the right ankle. So that will protect the hinge joint of the knee, forcing the ball and socket to take the stretch. Smoothing out the breath cycle, deep into the breath. Slowing it down here. Help oxygenate the muscle, innervating your nervous system with energy or prana. Soften your face. Maybe you're holding a little extra saliva in your mouth to increase the pain or discomfort tolerance. Just like our mouths go dry when we're in pain or fear, it's just reversing that. All right, we're going to take the right hand off of the right knee or off of the right hip and rotate. You are the one in control of the rotation. Maybe you want to come up for this. Maybe you want to stay down for this. Maybe you want to take it deeper. Maybe you can barely take the arm over there. This is intensifying the sensation of external rotation. So only take this as far as is respectful for your body. Every practice is different. Carefully releasing this. We're going to find head of cow next. So helping yourself out of that pose. Take your time, giving yourself some puppy dog wiggles perhaps to help the hips release. I'm going to sit up on props. You don't have to, but I would encourage it because we're going to be sitting here for a little bit of time before we ever get around to folding forward. You will want your strap or whatever you're using for a strap. So coming to seated here, I'm bringing my left foot back by my right hip and then my right leg on top, back by my left hip so the knees stack. Maybe they stack prettily, maybe not so much. It's going to depend on your own hip opening, where you are today. No judgment, just observation. We're just inner explorers, finding out what happens inside of our skins as we take on these shapes. Taking a wide grip to the strap, wider grip is easy, narrow grip is harder. Inhale up, exhale back behind you. If you notice your elbows bending during this, just widen out your grip. I'm going to take us through about 3.5 of these. If you want more than me, just move faster than me and you'll get more in. So inhaling and exhaling. We're just going to move through this a couple times. And we'll do this one more time so it ends with it back behind us. Once we get it back there, we're going to let go of the strap with one hand. Take the other hand and find the strap by the head. Taking this off to the side, you're going to feel the shoulder that's coming back behind the head. Taking the stretch, gazes up, breathing here. And then being gentle will help this over to the other side. You won't even need to move your hands, just moving the strap. Breathing again. Releasing the far hand. Find the strap from the bottom and pull down as the gaze comes up. And you're feeling this in the top shoulder, the shoulder joint behind you, depending on your own shoulder opening. Notice any emotional reaction to stretching the shoulders. Using the top arm, pull the bottom arm up to back, letting out extra strap at the top if that makes it easier to hold on to. For me, it's a column of fiery frustration right up the center of me every time I stretch the shoulders. I have arthritis in my shoulders, and I know it. So if you're having an emotional reaction in the stretch, hey, you're in good company, me too. Letting the top hand release and come down. The bottom hand comes back behind the head, drops the strap back there. We'll find the strap from the bottom, pulling down, and the gaze comes up. So I choose poses that I know are going to trigger you emotionally on purpose, giving us the opportunity to breathe through uncomfortable emotions, practicing that, releasing those emotions on the mat. Using the top hand to pull the bottom arm up the back. So therapy is $100 an hour. We can do this. Maybe this is a better choice for us. Breathing here as we feel that bottom shoulder opening up. And then we're going to carefully release the strap. If you're on props, pull them out from underneath your bottom. And then we'll fold down over the legs. So that might be coming onto fingertips. That might be laying all the way out long. That might be somewhere in between. I find that if I let my feet go soft, I can often get a little bit deeper into my stretch than if I'm holding tension in my feet. Maybe your belly presses into the top thigh on the inhales, giving you a little bit more space to sink on the exhales. We're experiencing internal rotation here. So we externally rotated that hip when we took the pigeon pose. We pinned the hip in place, and then we stretched the hip and pigeon, and now we're pinning it in place and stretching it in the opposite direction, internally rotating it. Being gentle. Carefully help the legs apart. Take as long as you need in the middle. If you need to take some puppy dog wiggles, feel free to wiggle this out before you find your downward facing dog again. So, setting up downward facing dog only when you feel ready to do it. Broadening the collarbones, soften your face, turn your tailbone up to the sky. Inhaling forward into plank. Exhale, yogi's choice as you lower. Up dog or cobra, lingering as long as you need before you find your downward facing dog. Inhale, plank. Exhale, yogi's choice. Coming up to up dog or cobra as long as you need it before you find your downward facing dog. Inhale, plank. Last time, yogi's choice, lower. Lingering in the cobra or up dog if you need it, for as long as you need it, before you find your downward facing dog. Catch your breath. Inhale, left leg high, point the toe, open the hip, sink the right heel, even the weight between the hands. Now bend the knee. Pressing the hands and foot into the ground affects lifting that left knee higher. You're in charge of these pressures. Tilting this into wild thing. Let the left foot find the ground. Left arm reaches up. Maybe you extend the right leg into a one-arm, one-legged reverse table, testing yourself. Wherever you are, flipping it back over, three-legged down dog. Before you step the left foot to the outside of that right hand for fallen triangle prep. Come to the inside of the right foot, feeling the bite in the rib cage as we hold here, inhaling, bring the right arm up. Exhale, swing it overhead, arch the ribs. Inhale, plant the hand, send the left leg high, three-legged down dog. Exhale, step the foot on the outside of the left hand. We are in our active lizard, so you can be wiggling this around. The back knee is lifted. You can be coming on to props like blocks to lift the hands or forearms. You can come down onto the forearms if you have the hip flexibility. You can open the hip up deeper by taking the outer blade of the foot down. Breathing in the low belly takes effort and control. Stay with the breath cycle. Drop the back knee, flatten the foot. You can stay on the forearm, you can come up to the hand or a block. The left hand can find the thigh or the sky. Lift out of that right shoulder, broaden the collarbones up. Pressing the floor away, feel the work in that right shoulder joint. Planting the hands at the top of the mat. Use them to help yourself find warrior 2 feet. Getting the feet right first, get your foundation set, and then put your roof on. Arms are out long, shoulders are broad, gaze is over the left fingers. If I was the kind of teacher to come smacking arms, they wouldn't move at all, they're tight to the bone. Goofy clasp behind the back, wrong thumb on top. Open the chest, exhale, sink it down. On or inside the thigh, crown of the head is reaching for the ground. Keep that left knee bent deeply. Don't try to escape the pose. Surrender to your humble warrior. Breathe. Releasing your fingers. The left hand might find the block or the floor inside the left foot. The right hand finds the sky. Opening up the chest. Inhale, exhale. Swing the right arm over, keeping the chest open. An extended side angle. Lots of work in the upper shoulders and back. Inhale, big cartwheel back up. Finding reverse warrior. Maybe the left hand finds the back of the neck. Maybe the right hand finds the left hip. Binding your reverse warrior. Exploring the side stretch of your breath here. Inhale, straighten the left leg. Sky archer. Wherever you are, release the bind. Notice what that did to your side stretch. Inhale this up. Reaching out, Utthita Trikonasana, pulling the right hip and shoulder back behind you. Let that limit where that left hand can find the ground or the leg. Pulling yourself back against that imaginary brick wall behind you that you feel like cables are getting ripped down to that right hip. Cartwheeling the hands down to the long edge of the mat. Toes pivoting to follow. Slightly pigeon-toed stance. Inhale, exhale, sinking this down. Again, avoid sticking your bottom out behind you. Keep the weight even between the balls of the feet and the heels. That might mean that your hands are off the mat or even on props. Be okay with that answer. Twisting this up differently. We're going to walk the hands over to the right leg. The left hand might find the thigh, calf, or even down to the foot. The right hand comes to the sky. Pull yourself through by pressing the left hand into that right leg. Trying to broaden the collarbones out. What does your breath do here? Releasing the right hand down. Walk the hands over to the left leg. Right hand's going to find thigh, calf, or foot. The left hand's going to come up towards the sky. Press into the right hand, open the collarbones up, broaden the chest, concentrate on your breath cycle. Releasing this, we'll come back into center. Again, taking this down into your wide leg forward fold. Might feel like you've got a little bit more to give. If you have a headstand, maybe you're coming into a tripod headstand here, or a headstand A with the forearms down. Maybe you're taking this into an arm balance, like firefly, balancing with the backs of the legs on the backs of the arms. If you have one of those more advanced poses and you're playing with that, go ahead and make your way back right side up. We'll walk our hands over to the right foot, turning the right toes out. Turn the left toes to the sky, finding your half squat at the back of the mat. Balancing here. Feel free to use your hands on the ground. That's where I started too. And then we'll shift this forward to the top of the mat, finding half squat on the left. Staying as low as you can as you find that movement. Feel free to use hands to support yourself. We'll help ourselves down out of the shape into pigeon pose next. So grabbing the props you think you'll need for your pigeon on the left. The two sides can have very different experiences, especially in the hips, so you might need more or less. We've got the the left ankle on the right side of the mat, the left knee on the left side of the mat, the shins parallel to the top of the mat. My right leg's back behind me, and my left hip is supported, my left buttock is supported enough where I can sit level. When you feel like you have that shape, we're going to fold this down. On this side, because I have the tighter of the two hips here, I'm actually going to put a prop underneath my left elbow and push myself better over to the right side so I can get a deeper stretch. So pushing yourself down on the opposite hip, pushing the right side down this time, is going to affect the stretch in the left hip. Again, if you need to, flex the left ankle so that the knee doesn't feel the sensation. We want the hip, we want the ball and socket of the hip to feel this. Maybe you're holding that extra saliva in the mouth to increase the pain or discomfort tolerance. Maybe you're working to keep count over how long it takes you to inhale and making the exhale match that same length of time. Stretching it out, slowing it down, see if you can make it last 10 counts. And if that gets easy, stretching it out to 12. Challenging your body without inflicting pain. We're going to take this a little bit deeper here. So the left hand's going to come off of the left hip or off the left knee. And you're the one in control of the depth of the rotation here. So if you need to come up more to rotate, if you want to come down and really push it, go ahead. You're the one inside of your skin. You are the one who's making these decisions. The body can be like a scared little animal, remembering all the times that we pushed it too far, didn't listen, or injured ourselves. Here we're earning that trust back. We're showing the body that we can listen to what it's saying our limits are today. Helping yourself out of the shape, be gentle. Take any time you need in some puppy dog wiggles. So if you need to wiggle that around, get that to release for you, feel free to do that. We're going to set up again in head of cow with the left leg on top. You will not need your strap this time. We're going to stretch the neck. So my right foot is coming back to my left hip this time, and my left hip is coming over back to my right hip. And again, maybe your knees stack and it's very pretty, maybe not so much. It is where it is. So wherever it is that we start, we're going to inhale, bring the shoulders up to the ears. Exhale, drop them down. Inhale, bring them up. Exhale, drop them. One more time, lock this up to the back of the head and the neck, and squeezing this as tight as you can, and then a little tighter. Exhale, releasing. Dropping the right ear over the right shoulder, reach the left fingers long for the floor, and take the right hand to the side of the head. Letting this lengthen the neck, breathe here. Releasing the side of the head, let the head rock. Maybe you turn your chin up or down, maybe you look over that shoulder. Find anything that's sore or tight to release. Turn the left palm to the sky. Take the left arm behind the back for the right hip in graceful bow. Bringing the gaze into the right armpit, take the right hand to the corner of the head and let the elbow be heavy. Feel this lengthen down the neck, shoulder over down your back. Releasing this to look over one shoulder and then the other. Reset the neck. It might be a little tender before we drop the left ear over. Reaching the right fingers long for the floor. The left hand will find the side of the head. And let the elbow drop, being balanced as we breathe. Releasing the side of the head. Let it rock. Turning the chin perhaps up and down. Looking over the shoulder. Looking for anything that wants your attention or your love. Turn the right palm to the sky. Find out what that changed in your experience. Before you take the right arm behind the back for the left hip. Graceful bow. Bringing the gaze into the left armpit. Let the left hand find the corner of the head and be heavy. Releasing this, look over one shoulder and then the other one more time. And then we'll drop the chin down to the chest. Interlacing the fingers for the back of the head. Sit tall through your spine and breathe into your belly. And this will intensify what you feel between your shoulder blades. Releasing your fingers. Let your head come up. If you're on props, ditch them. Come out from underneath you. And again, we are going to fold over our legs, which might simply be getting fingertips down and thinking strongly about it. That might be laying all the way out long and flat. It might be somewhere in between. Let your feet relax. Let the belly press into the top thigh on the inhales so that you can sink there on the exhales. Feeling that internal rotation of the left hip. Carefully releasing this. Help your legs apart. Be gentle here with the knees. If you need any extra time to wiggle this out, feel free. We're going to send this back into a downward facing dog one more time. So if you need to send the left leg high in a three-legged down dog to release the hip and buttock, feel free to do that. Pedal this out, settle in. Notice how your downward facing dog feels. And compare this to how downward facing dog felt at the beginning of practice. Maybe it feels like your heels can sink a little bit more, turning the tailbone up and affect the back, stretching the back of the legs differently. Inhale, gaze to the top of the mat. Exhale, walking your hands back to your feet, finding forward fold at the back of the mat. Inhaling, halfway lift. Exhale, release the hands down, turn the toes out, and walk the feet out if you need to. Feel free to take the feet out as wide as you need to, even off the mat. I'm turning the toes out like duck feet. On an exhale, we're going to sink the bottom, finding yogi squat. So we're at yogi squat at the back of the mat here. Once you have your yogi squat, maybe we start to shift this around, side to side, back and forth gently. Some ninja training. So you might be feeling this in the ankles. You might be feeling that in the shins, the knees, or the back. If you have a crow pose and you want to work on a crow pose here, perhaps you are taking the hands to the ground, bringing the knees to the armpits or to the backs of the arms, and maybe taking some weight onto the hands, possibly lifting one foot, possibly both feet. So if you are working with an arm balance here, feel free to work that here at the back of the mat. Otherwise, we'll just stay in the yogi squat, shifting that around, keeping that active, getting ourselves a little bit deeper into the hips and the ankles. If you're in a crow pose, go ahead and let yourself down. We'll help ourselves down onto the ground, so helping your legs out here. I'm going to turn to face you guys because we're going to take some wide-legged poses here. I don't like my feet on the ground. You can face me or you can face each other. I don't care. I just don't like my heels on the floor directly. I like them on a mat. So, finding your wide leg position. Toes are going to point to the ceiling. Knees are going to point to the ceiling. Arms will be out long off the shoulders. Inhale, go right. Exhale, go left. Exhale, go right. So we're going to bring the right arm on the inside of the leg. Take the left arm over to the side. We're pressing this right arm into the thigh to help rotate ourselves here. So we're not really trying to grab the foot, we're trying to rotate. So think about trying to stack knee, shoulder, shoulder up to the sky here. So as you're feeling this rotation here, try to bring a little weight back into the left sits bone if the left sits bone's left the ground. And you might notice that that changes the side stretch that you're experiencing. So breathing here with the side stretch. Carefully, we're going to rotate ourselves over this right leg. So think about squaring yourself up over the leg, trying to keep the chest lifted and strong. So the head's the last thing to come down. So my chest folds me down. You can grab the foot of the leg if you like. I like to use my hands on the ground because I like to work to try to keep the chest squared up. And if I take a hold of the leg, I feel like it starts to pull me through to the center line a little bit more. So this gives me a little bit more feeling of being in control of the rotation. All right, find spider fingers. Using those spiders, we're going to walk this over to the left leg, feel how that feels, and then come up. All right, taking this the other direction, arms out long, inhale right, exhale left. So again, I'm not trying to grab my foot. I'm trying to rotate myself here. So I'm pressing my arm into my thigh to affect the rotation more than I'm trying to grab the toe. The toes and the knees are still flexed, so they're still pulling back towards the ceiling. My right sits bone has weight in it, so if it doesn't, try to pull some weight back over there and notice what that does to your side stretch. Breathe in your side stretch. Imagine your lung being underneath the length of your side rather than where it is in the rib cage. And try to imagine inflating that part of your body, the side that we're stretching with the breath. We're going to rotate ourselves over the leg here. So squaring yourself up over your left leg. Again, you can use the pressures of your hand the way I like to. You can grab the leg itself or the foot. Keep the chin away from the chest. The chest is the first thing to reach before the face. So if the heart isn't down, then your face shouldn't be down. Breathe here. And now we'll find spider fingers. Use those tarantulas to walk yourself over to the right. Feel how the right side feels, and then we'll come up. All right, we're going to find the new widest point. So taking this out maybe a little bit wider. Feel free to take blocks with you here. We are going to fold down the center. Now we want to come down with a long, flat spine. So we want to come down flat through the back. That might mean that you're up here. So you might be using your props to prop your elbows up or to prop your forearms up to help give you some support. You might be coming down a little bit further and now you're using your props underneath your chin, or as you come a little bit closer to the ground, maybe in underneath the forehead. This is a pose where you might travel a fair bit. So once you find where you are in the pose, making sure that you have that good body posture, whether that is flexing the toes, pulling them back, trying to keep the collarbones broad or the shoulders down away from the ears, whatever it is that you're working on. Once you've got that set up, breathing, you might find that every couple breaths, your body invites you to go out a little bit further with the hands, or it invites you to come down a little bit further with the props, so that you're coming down a little bit further and a little bit further. So if you are getting invited by your body, go ahead and follow that invitation. Feeling free to come down as your body feels ready to allow it. Just a little further here. Carefully help this back up. Being gentle with yourselves, we're going to help the legs back to the end of the mat. So if you need to, use some support to get your legs there. Finding our feet at the end of the mat here. We're going to take our hands back behind us. The fingers are going to point to the front of the room. Bring a slight micro bend to the knees so that you can point the toes here. We're going to inhale, send us up, squeeze the buttocks, and we are in a reverse plank. So you have to keep the buttocks squeezed in order to keep the hips lifted. If we were in a reverse table, which we do quite a bit in my classes, it's actually a reverse half plank. And I'll often tell you, squeeze the buttocks and then release them, making the low back do the work. But if we release the buttocks here, because of the weight of the low body, our bottoms would drop. So we really have to think about keeping those lifted. You can probably see your breath cycle here because we've got the whole back side of the body zipped up tight, the front side of the body is working. And the gaze can be to the front of the room or to the ceiling. Just don't let your head drop back or you'll stop breathing. We're going to carefully release this back down to the mat. Take the feet all the way down to the bottom of the mat. We'll take a long flat spine here. Inhale, exhale, folding forward. Chins away from the chest. Notice how this forward fold feels, especially having just tightened up and worked the back. So we contracted the back with our reverse plank, and now we're stretching it one more time. Releasing this, we're going to let this lower down one vertebrae at a time, making sure you know where your blocks are and your eye mask. So when we get all the way down to our backs, we're going to bring our knees into our chest, Apanasana, knees to chest. Giving this a little squeeze here, maybe rocking a little. Extend the right leg down long on the mat. We're going to take the left leg across the body into the twist. Now, the arms can extend out long. Feel free to let the right hand find the outside of the left leg. It is okay if the left shoulder got pulled up off of the ground. It's okay if the left knee does find the ground, or if the left knee is just reaching for the ground. If you have your hand on the leg, maybe you're pressing down on the exhales, as long as you let the leg rise back up on the inhales, letting yourself explore in the twist with your breath. Maybe taking that a little bit deeper on the exhales. As you're exploring here, notice what you're afraid to inflate against, or what you're breathing gingerly around in the twist. So you're investigating inside of your body with this twist, letting this pose bring you out, swishing out anything that doesn't serve you, any toxins or impurities, anything that you're ready to let go of. Carefully bringing this back in, bring your knees into your chest. Give yourself another hug here, maybe give it a little rock to help release the twist that we've done. And then we'll extend the left leg long on the mat, taking the right knee across the body. The arms can extend out off of the shoulders perhaps. Maybe you bend the elbows into goalpost arms. That might help keep the shoulders down a little longer. You can use that left hand on the right knee, releasing any judgment as to what's happened, whether that be the right knee is or isn't on the ground, or the right shoulder has left the ground or it's on the ground. You might be teeter-tottering between the two sides. Using the breath to explore, let yourself rise up on the inhales, even if you're using the pressure of the hand to push you deeper on the exhales. Notice if there's a difference on this side of your twist compared to the other side. Releasing the legs back in the center. Give the knees a hug again, reset, and we're going to grab the block. We're going to take the block underneath our tailbone. So lifting yourself up, use the block underneath the bottom third of your bottom. Once you have that position, bring the feet together and let the knees open out. Whatever you're using for an eye mask, it can simply be a sock, whatever you can grasp around you that you can place over your face to block out the light is fine. Letting the knees drop open here, we're going to find some softness. So if it doesn't feel like your block's placed correctly, go ahead and get it to where it's placed correctly, and you'll know it when it's right. And once you do have it right, if you have an angry piriformis or an angry muscle in your butt, an angry butt muscle with you, then maybe you tilt the knees down on one side or the other until you find that angry muscle and just sit on it. So you've got it pinned between the sits bone and the block and just sitting on that angry muscle and making it release through a little compression massage. So if you have a chronic problem like that, you can use this as a daily thing that you do every day to see if you can get that muscle to release for you. And maybe that can stop giving you quite the misery. Anyway, we're softening here on this block, and there's usually some tummy sensations that we feel when we're getting close to getting back to softness here. Sometimes you'll feel a heavier dropping sensation of the intestines falling away from the wall of the abdominals. Maybe you'll feel internal organs sliding up inside of you because we're inverted, the hips are higher than the heart, even though it's not a big inversion. Maybe you just feel your digestion start moving around, your dinner start moving. As we start to find that state of softening, we're going to release the legs to the mat. So one leg at a time, extend them out long. And this is going to feel easier to hold than having the feet together. So the hips are lifted up. We've got the tailbone tucked underneath us with a block. And we're just hanging out here until we feel like we're soft on the block. So it's usually between 6 and 12 breaths till you feel like you're just laying flat on the floor. You don't feel the block underneath you. And that's going to differ from when you feel it, when your neighbor feels it, when I feel it. But when you feel like you're laying flat on the ground, pull the block out from underneath your bottom. When you do that, we'll settle into our corpse pose, our Shavasana. It'll feel like your bottom just fell down into a hole. That is the reverberation of that pose. And it can help you settle into corpse pose. For a lot of people who have a difficulty finding Shavasana at the end of class, they're uncomfortable in the shape. This can be what they do in order to make that shape accessible to them. Especially if you're a side sleeper, or if your tailbone is tucked and you feel an urge to roll to one side almost immediately upon laying on your back. Taking that block tuck can help you find some relief. So as we settle into the corpse pose, the most important pose of our practice, remembering that without this time, we haven't done yoga at all. All we've done is exercise or stretch a little. This is what makes this yoga. Releasing any remaining tension in the body, letting the body's coming to a new understanding based on the poses we've completed, a defrag program, if you will. Let any remaining tension in the shoulders run down the arms and out the fingers. Any remaining tension in the buttocks run down the legs and out of the toes. Let your spine pull you down to the earth, and the breath return to its natural rhythmic cycle. Keeping the mind in the present moment, preventing it from wandering off to the rest of your evening. Remind yourself that there's nothing left for you to do here. There's no one that needs anything from you. There's no one for you to be. This is only yoga. Wiggling fingers and toes slowly. Bring a little energy back into your body. Making note as to how you feel now. Compare this to how you felt when we started our practice. those answers we had from the beginning of class. Drawing the arms overhead high in a morning stretch, squeeze everything in tight before you bring your knees to your chest for a huff, thanking yourself for practicing this evening before you roll to your favorite side for transition and rebirth. Forget safety. Live where you fear to live. Destroy your reputation. Be notorious. Rumi. As you feel ready to do it, push yourself up to seated, crossing your legs and stacking the bones of your spine. Inhaling, draw the arms high overhead, letting the palms touch, and then exhale them down to heart center. Thank you for sharing your practice with me this evening. My blessing upon you. We are complete. Namaste. I'm going to go ahead and end this video. If you have any questions for me, feel free to